Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Taurus July 2023 Illumination Tarot reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot reading for soul illumination. So hi, everyone. My name is Lauren. We're going to be taking a look at the energy for the month ahead for the sign of Taurus. And we're first going to start with looking at what you're bringing to the table, Taurus, which is the Knight of Wands. That's great energy. We're going to be looking at what Spirit is asking you really to embrace this month, so that as you move into the energy towards the end of the month, you can really allow for a blessing or some level of abundance to come in for you. And then we'll look at a block or a challenge. We'll get advice from Spirit as to how to overcome that. And then we'll pull some oracle cards to really dive into a little deeper into the themes. We'll pull some clarifiers for that. Okay, Taurus, so we have the Knight of Wands is your energy coming in here with the Six of Swords and kind of your environment. This is also the theme for the month and what Spirit's really asking you to embrace. And then as your main underlying theme, we have justice, underscored by the Two of Cups and the Four of Wands, which is really interesting. I get a theme here that's really coming through the underlying energy that for many of you, you are reevaluating either a current relationship or a past relationship, and there's a kind of a making or a breaking of a contract coming in here with justice. So we'll dive a little deeper into that. Now, the Knight of Wands, I'm just going to say, for some of you, the Knight of Wands and the Six of Swords coming in here with your internal and your external energy, there could be the sense of freeing yourself from something that has either been very difficult, which could be a relationship, again, past or present. This could also be just simply getting into the energy of freedom by releasing a tie to something that has long held you back. It could be a form of the way you connect with others. It could be a foundation that you built. It doesn't have to be technically marriage or a romantic relationship. This could even be a foundation you've built in the workplace. But there is a sense here of really embracing this sense of freedom this month, Taurus, with both the Knight of Wands and the Six of Swords. Both of these they bring in the themes of freedom, but differently. Knight of Wands, this speaks to kind of the freedom-seeking, fun-loving individual who's ready to go out into the world with a new kind of renewed sense of passion. This is the individual who's going to just say yes to something because it feels good. Sometimes this energy can be a little... you can kind of be the person who's not reliable because they're so just, I'm going to do this today and then tomorrow I might change my mind. But I get the feeling here for you intuitively, Taurus, this is more about getting just into the energy of fun, getting into the energy also of the adventurous seeker, someone who wants to discover more about what they love, about what they're passionate about, by going out there with a sense of, I want to experience it hands-on, with direct experience. That's what the knights do. They move things forward. So there's a sense of movement here for you, Taurus, which is great because you're a fixed sign. So anytime you get to a place where there's kind of that feeling of movement, it's time to kind of shake off something probably where we've been stuck for a while, whether it's emotional, physical, mental, you kind of figure that out for yourself, how this is applying for you, because this is a general reading. Now, in your environment, the Six of Swords is also a card of freedom, but it's a card more of true liberation from limitations. It's being able to move on in a mental space so that we can really leave something behind that kind of had us at a roadblock, that said that we can't make enough, or we can never make past this point. We can't leave where we live geographically. We will never be able to have that romantic relationship of the lifetime because we have in our minds told ourselves that there's a hard line in the sand and we can only have it up to this point, or we can only have it like this. And this says you get to move on from that. You get to transcend. This is actually a card of real growth. I look at this card truly of transcendence, that we get this to this level of I can see a bigger picture. I can move from choppy waters to calmer seas. Also a card of movement. As you can see, there's an individual in a boat. Now, sometimes this can represent a family getting together and moving on. So for some of you, that might be something you're experiencing. But there's also a sense here too of just being able to get in a boat and move. being able to, and as you can see, there's a little bit of the choppy water and then the calm water. That does signify moving from, again, a time of possible turbulence to a time of stillness, of calm, of peace, but from a mental plane, and then that kind of trickles down and out and manifests in the physical. Now, the underlying energy, justice. Justice is balance. It is also the sense of contract. So you may be taking a look or reevaluating your commitments, especially coming in with this kind of freedom-seeking energy and this feeling of transcending something. So for some of you, you may be moving on from a relationship that was, built around a foundation, which could be marriage. And you may be looking at this saying, it's time for me to, and again, this could be in the distant past. This could be in the not so, or close, not so distant past, or this could be even something you're moving through now, where you're sitting here saying, it's time for me to move on. Now, it could be in the other, when we look at this from a different perspective, this could be that you're moving on perhaps from a past relationship as you commit to a new relationship and a new foundation, because we have the Four of Wands with the Two of Cups. This is equal partnership, it's love and connection, and you may at this point be looking to commit, and that may actually be freeing you up in a different way to move on from a limiting mindset from before. So there are always going to be there's multifaceted ways of looking at a general reading, so take how this applies to you, Taurus. Okay, so now we're going to dive in a little bit deeper here, but there's definitely a month of reviewing relationships, potentially moving on from a relationship or committing to a new relationship that allows you to experience a lot more freedom in your life. But the name of the game here, Taurus, is freedom, which I really like. Freedom and movement. Okay, so I'm going to pull some cards now to take a look at the challenges, the block, the challenge, advice from spirit, and the gift or blessing that wants to come in for you. So we have the Wheel of Fortune and the Six of Pentacles here as your kind of main challenge. With judgment at the heart of your reading, which is what spirit's really asking you to embrace this month, to really allow you to move into a place of peace, but also with a sense of adventure and freedom. So with Wheel of Fortune coming in, okay, so we have the Four of Wands here, but what else came out is we have the Moon, we have the Queen of Wands, clarified by the Ace of Swords and the Hermit, which I really like there. So let's actually move all this up so you guys can see this a little better. Okay. So now, this kind of came up in a strange way, so I'm going to really take this as the secondary underlying energy, because that really wanted to come out prominently. It was stuck to my hand, literally. So we have the Four of Wands again, committing to a foundation, and a foundation that really comes with a sense of celebrating how far you've come, being able to stop and kind of look back. And the Four of Wands speaks to not only just a foundation, but a foundation that was built from a place of passion, that you took action on this because it lit you up inside. And with the Wheel of Fortune and the Six of Pentacles, there's a very big emphasis on balance, on a return. There could be a sense of getting a return on an investment that was not reaped previously. And what do I mean by that? So the Six of Pentacles is kind of like the lower arcana energy of the Justice card. It's a sense of balance. We have 6 pentacles, 3 and 3. So there's a harmony there. There's a sense of giving and receiving. So for some of you who have maybe were in a place where you were always giving, this is saying that now with the Wheel of Fortune coming in, there has been a turn in your fortune, and you may now be in a place to receive. Or vice versa. Maybe you were the one who was always receiving in previous relationships or previous foundational kind of setups for yourself, and now is a time for you to give, because maybe now is a time of plenty for you. So there's something here around this, that there is a time of balance. The wheel has turned over for you, and there's a sense of really kind of leaning into that. This might be, again, where you are having to learn how to receive, or you might be learning how to give. This can also be, again, where something's trying to come in for you. And with this being the main point of challenge, you might be blocking it a little bit because there is this sense with justice, with the Six of Pentacles, especially with judgment, and I'll get into that in just a second, that there seems to want to be a divine balance coming in. The Six of Pentacles to me always speaks to whatever we put into something, we will get back eventually. It may not be immediate. This can be where we sit there, we put a ton of time and energy into a relationship and it doesn't work out. And in the end, we not only lose time, but we also maybe lost belongings or money because we had to split up possessions, as we left that relationship. But then maybe 5 years down the line, you meet the love of your life and you get together and suddenly your whole life is flourishing. All the stuff you lost previously with the past relationship is now brought forward tenfold. Maybe now you're in a better position financially, and the other individual who's coming into the partnership is better off financially, and suddenly you have more than you did before. So there's that kind of sense of we don't always see that return on our investment. Same thing, let's say starting a business. You might put in time and energy for a few years and not actually see that profit margin that you wanted to see come in, but eventually down the line you might reap that back. And that could be the same in just a career path. You might be working at a very reduced rate for a long period of time, and then you finally maybe move to a new work environment, and suddenly they're paying you 4 times what you were getting paid before, and that makes up for the years you worked maybe working for a reduced pay, and suddenly you're like getting it all back at one time. So there is that feeling here, Taurus, of that trying to come in for you, this balance trying to come in where there was perhaps an imbalance before, or a return on your investment where there was a loss before. But there's a sense here of maybe blocking yourself from that, of not wanting to go with the flow. Because the Wheel of Fortune can also say it's time to allow the energy to flow. The wheel is moving, the wheel is turning. Allow what's due to you to come in. I get a little bit of this feeling with how this Knight of Wands, just intuitively as I'm seeing it, it's almost like he wants to run away from what's trying to come in. And I feel almost like, keep the sense of freedom, keep that sense of I want to be adventurous, I want to see the world, I want to do things that light my fire, but also do so with a sense of this month specifically, looking at the opportunities that come in. When somebody says, hey, do you want to do this? This might be a great month to say, yeah, I'd like to try that out. Sure, I'll show up at the party, or yeah, I'll join you guys on the weekend away, something along those lines, because this could be the start of, again, kind of the Wheel of Fortune turning in your favor. Because with Judgment at the heart of your reading, this is what Spirit's asking you to embrace, to really allow yourself to get into the flow and allow this kind of return on your investment energy to come in, or the wheel to turn over, so to speak. Judgment speaks to a major life change for you. Judgment is when you've had to release a part of yourself, your identity. There's a feeling of, in order to be called up from the dead, something did have to literally die. Now, it doesn't mean that you had to die or someone in your life had to die. It means that you are being called up as a new version of yourself. And that can come from anything. It can come just from a realization. You could wake up one morning and realize, I can't continue to do the job I've done for 20 years because it's just not me anymore. And suddenly now it's time to free yourself from that work environment. It can be where you wake up one day and realize that the relationship you've been in for a long time maybe just is no longer supportive and you can't stay in that relationship. Could be the opposite. This could be where suddenly you wake up and realize, yesterday I got married and now I am a committed individual and things in my life have shifted. But there's something here that says there has been something has happened in your life that has changed who you are, whether just internally, you've spiritually or emotionally kind of realized that, or you've gone through something in your life that has literally changed who you are, and you can't go back from one day to the next to who you were the day before. Now, when we apply this to, let's say, a relationship for some of you, this could be, again, where you're looking at something has changed in your life, you're a new person. And so maybe if this is kind of moving on from a distant past relationship. This is saying you're a new individual, and there may be someone who wants to come in now to balance out what was lost in the previous relationship. With the moon coming in on the other side, this says, though, that the way is unclear. There is a feeling here, Taurus, of, yes, you can go with the flow. Yes, there seems to be a rebalancing or return on your investment trying to come in. And it does have to relate to some type of foundation for yourself, a very important foundation. But with the moon coming in, it says there's no guarantees. It might not happen exactly the way that we expect. And, when we think about, like this, like I'm just thinking about Knight of Wands. This could be like getting back out on the horse, or getting back up on the horse, so to speak, and going and out into the dating world and saying, okay, you know what? I'm ready. This is what I want. I really want to have this beautiful connection. I want to be able to find an intimate partner. I'm ready to commit, and I'm ready to go out there and meet people and just start to see, kind of what lights my fire. But this is like holding yourself back and saying, well, yeah, but I mean, what if, is it really worth it for me to go and put in all that effort when, I might have to sit here and build a whole relationship again, and it might take 5 years for that to happen. And then I'm going to be this age. And then it's like one of those things where it's like, it's not, this is saying, the way is unclear, and you kind of have to roll with it. You have to embrace the Wheel of Fortune, embrace the change, embrace that you've changed as well. And if you can kind of just allow yourself to go through a little bit of a time that's unsure with the moon. We then have the Queen of Wands with the Ace of Swords and the Hermit, which is really interesting. This is what is waiting to come in for you. And I feel like this is one of two things. If this is you looking for an individual, because you have the Knight of Wands and then we have the Queen of Wands, this could be either a growth for you, if let's say you're already in a relationship and you're not really looking to, let's say, leave the relationship, maybe you're looking to recommit to the relationship. There's a sense that for some of you in that place, you could actually be kind of leveling up in your own energy, where the Queen of Wands is, for instance, the Knight of Wands is someone who's kind of just, they might not commit. This is kind of a non-committal energy, because this is the person who's going out there and just kind of having fun and trying this and doing that. The Queen of Wands, she stands firm. She always holds for me the energy of bloom where you're planted, shine. She's a very attractive individual, and not just, a physically attractive as we would think about the word in that way, but she attracts people to her because she sits where she is and she shines, she radiates. And with the Ace of Swords and the Hermit, there's a sense of, the Ace of Swords is a realization. It's like an aha moment in the mental plane of like, oh, I see now, I see clearly. And the Hermit is a sense of someone who's a soul seeker, someone who goes within, someone who has maybe had some time alone and has been able to really kind of reconnect to their uniqueness, reconnect to the star, the light within. And there's something about with these two that it's almost like maybe for some of you, you've kind of gone through a period where you had to kind of remove yourself from maybe interacting with lots of other people, maybe even at work, you kind of disconnected a little bit, but there's something here around you've discovered something within. And there is an aha moment, and there's the ability now to really step into becoming, it's almost like you move from the Knight to the Queen, where you commit. Now, this could be committing to embodying this energy and shining your light and really committing to the relationship and truly, here's the foundation, and I'm going to bloom where I'm planted. The return on the investment is allowing me, whatever's happening in my life, whatever is coming in for me, is allowing me to become this individual and is allowing me to shine my brightest light. And it's also allowing you to really be able to, I think, shine a light on a dream that you want to start to manifest. And the Queen of Wands is the perfect individual to do that, because she also kind of has that witch archetype energy to her, that she can bloom where she's planted, even in the middle of a barren desert, because she can harness the magic within through her own passion. And I think that is what's allowing you to move on from maybe a non-committal energy And it's time now to fully commit to, again, the change of circumstance for you. When we think about, I am a Taurus sun. I have my Mars placement in Taurus. So I have a lot of energy in Taurus. And I can tell you, I can give you a depiction of how this would resonate for me. That it's true, up to a certain point in my life, I was a Knight of Wands. And there was a sense of, I want to try a little bit of this. I don't really know what I want to do for my career path. I don't really want to commit to anything. I don't even want to commit to a geographic location. But I was always the one also to give in relationships. I was the one who had to kind of be the breadwinner. I was the individual who had to do and initiate. A change in fortune in my life currently has brought in a marriage and a child, and I am now a mother, and I'm now in a place to receive. And that sounds, oh, well, that's wonderful. Now you're getting to have love, and you're getting to have, a chance to maybe not work so many hours. And there is a change in my circumstance, but it was difficult to accept at first a few years back because it was such a change it meant that, again, a part of myself, as how I saw myself, how I identified, it had to die away, and I had to embrace that I was now a mother, and I had, duties to my family first, and I was in a relationship with someone else that I had a give and take with, and I, in turn, had to kind of move out of the giving energy and into opening myself up to receive. And that can be very strangely difficult because it can also make you vulnerable. So keep that in mind, Taurus. You might be kind of opening yourself up to a level of vulnerability as well, but it's going to really open up a lot for you here as far as clarity, realizing a dream, but also realizing what you shine and how you can actually use that as almost like a magnet to create the life that you want where you are currently. There's a level of commitment coming through here. Now, I'm going to pull some clarifiers, but if this is actually a relationship for you, and for some of you, you have been kind of going out there and you've been testing the waters, and you were dating a lot, and now suddenly you're being faced with maybe, getting a little deeper here. This could be that you're actually bringing in an individual, and this could be the blessing here, that you are bringing in someone who really represents the Queen of Wands energy, who is fiery, she's passionate, she shines a light. She's a deep soul-seeking individual. It doesn't have to be a she. This could be a man or someone who identifies as a male, but who embodies this energy. Okay, but there's a level of committing or reevaluating your commitments, I think, this month, Taurus. So we have the Fountain, here's the Ace of Swords again, and the Six of Coins again with the Wheel of Fortune. So yeah, there's this clarity around what has changed with the Six of Coins, the return on your investment, what you have currently. Six of Coins speaks to, again, balance, that you have enough in some capacity, but that yet maybe there has been a change. You've gone from maybe feeling like you didn't have enough to all of a sudden you realize, I have enough, but it might be showing up in a different way. Maybe you felt like you didn't have enough time, and suddenly something has changed in your life where now you have an abundance of time. And you're like, whoa, I don't know what to do with this, And with the Fountain, that says, this is almost like the wormhole card in this deck. It's unique to this deck, the Fountain Tarot. So it's an important card. The Fountain is like getting to that cosmic place of almost like a reset. It's almost like whatever didn't work. And sorry guys, I'm doing a load of laundry and it's vibrating right now. So you'll see the screen kind of flicker here. But the Fountain is that kind of, it's the cosmic point in the universe where everything and nothing can exist at one point, where we get to kind of go back and reset the clock and say, this is the birthplace of everything that can be manifested or created or destroyed. So there's a sense here of really having the realization of maybe whatever is coming in right now is taking you back to a time where something had been removed, or you didn't have enough of something, and you're realizing, oh my gosh, here's the clarity. It's almost like kind of going back to the future and then back forward and saying, okay, I see clearly now what I'm being given that had been taken away, and I'm getting a second chance. So with the Six of Pentacles, we have the Page of Cups and the Empress. I love that. there's a sense here of creativity, a sense of being able to embrace your inner child where maybe you weren't able to do that before. In fact, for some of you, this could be actually becoming a parent like myself, and through that, embracing your inner child through kind of seeing through the eyes of your own child. But this could also just be really getting to that place where you can be creative and where you can embrace the inner child or a part of yourself that maybe had to be put away for some time. Page of Cups always speaks to me of the inner child, of the true innocent original part of ourself, where if we were just to express fully what we love, what we hate, what from that real innocent emotional space, that's the Page of Cups. It's really discovering, it's tapping back into our emotional and spiritual connection to our life experience, but from a very just innocent way. So there's a sense of really being able to, I think for some of you, what's trying to come in here is trying to bring in this level of allowing a part of yourself that had been locked away for some time that you really hadn't been able to express, and it's coming out, and it's either coming in through children in your life, and you get to again experience that because with the Empress, that really does speak to giving birth, but it can also speak to giving birth just to creation itself, creativity, artistic projects, anything that gets you to get back into that inner child. And that's beautiful. Okay, so let's see what's coming in here for Judgment. But I do still get the feeling this is a month of freedom for you. But freedom, this may be a realization of just how what you used to consider or how you saw freedom in the past has changed because you have changed. It might have been in the past that for you, freedom meant financial independence and you wanted to have a bunch of money in the bank and you were very focused on that. And now all of a sudden you realize freedom is having the time to spend with your family and enjoy every minute of play. It can be that kind of change or vice versa, so take it as it resonates. So with Judgment, we have the Devil. Yeah, for some of you, there's a sense of kind of not wanting to lean into the change. I think leaning into what's been holding you back. Two of Coins, Two of Cups. Yeah, there's a sense of kind of juggling, of maybe feeling a little like you're having to, I wouldn't say do it all yourself, but there's a sense of maybe there's a lack of prioritization, or you're not prioritizing intimate connections. There's a sense here of being busy versus intimately connecting. And when I say intimately connecting, it doesn't mean that you have to be romantically connecting. It means Two of Cups is just you bringing what's in your cup, which is what the Page of Cups holds, just like you see here, two people honoring their cup, which is honoring their emotions, their needs, their dreams, two people who get to connect on that level. This is not just like a, high level, you see each other in the street and you say hi. This is where you stop and you invite the person in for a cup of coffee and you sit down and you catch up and you have that kind of connection. And I think for some of you, maybe there's been a little bit of a lack of that because you've been too focused on just doing the day-to-day routine. And it's saying it's time to prioritize. If this is a partnership, it's time to prioritize that partnership. If it's just intimate connections, it's saying it's time to, prioritize that in your life. With the Devil coming in, sometimes the Devil is the opposite of the Lover's card in the tarot. So there can be a sense here of what had at one point been very supportive, has now become something that holds you back. And that can be anything that you had loved. That could be a business, a career path that you loved that now has turned into something that is holding you back because it's no longer fulfilling, or you're working too many hours and you're prioritizing that versus, going out there to meet people. This can be an actual relationship, again, that has turned toxic. It can be even where a relationship from the past that you're no longer involved in is still kind of hanging there, the shadows hanging there, and you haven't allowed yourself to really understand that the judgment call is that past version of yourself was gone as soon as that relationship was over. So really keep that in mind to see what's been holding you back here from intimately connecting with others as this new version of yourself. Okay, so let's see what's coming in for the moon. What do you need to know about kind of the way being unclear? What does Taurus need to know about the moon? Six of Cups. Yeah, there's a making peace with the past. It's also kind of a return to innocence is what I'm feeling for many of you. And then we also have death as well. So there's the death card that comes in. This states that, yeah, there is a part of yourself that has to be let go. But that part of yourself, and it is almost like there is a making peace with the past, with death and the Six of Cups. Now, this could be, you know, with the way being unclear. This may be where there was kind of a death of a dream, a death of a version of yourself from the past. This can also be where we almost are too fixated on a point in the past, where, let's say, we're kind of looking at it from a sense of nostalgia, where we are clinging to, it's almost like we're looking too much, like with rose-colored glasses, at something. And maybe it wasn't as great as we are making it out to seem. You know, this could even be like looking at even, you know, being in a family relationship, where like you idealize your parents' relationship, or you idealize, you know, a sense of freedom you had at one point in your life, but you forget that at that point you were also a starving student and you could barely, you know, go out to eat. And yeah, maybe you had a certain level of freedom, but, you know, it's one of those things where a lot of times we can, especially when it comes to nostalgia, we can, again, only see the good things and we forget sometimes the bad things. And so there's a sense here of kind of releasing something from the past, and allowing yourself to go into the unknown and to think about it and to really embrace how is maybe that thing from the past going to come forward into your experience with a gift, with a lesson, with, you know, bringing something, a part of yourself forward. But how is it also releasing something that maybe you have fixated on at the same time? Okay, let's see what we need to know for the Queen of Wands. Actually, I want to know, let's see about the Ace of Swords. What do we need to know about this clarity? Clarity for the Ace of Swords. Yeah, we have the moon again. Okay, so that's just saying there is no clarity. The moon is saying the clarity is the realization that you hold the light within. There's almost a sense here, because when the moon comes out like this as a clarifying card, it means that the way is unclear, that there is no specific result that is going to come from you choosing to embrace the change, from you choosing to commit or not to commit, from you know, choosing to kind of bloom where you're planted. There's the realization instead that the light that we need to shine to be able to see the way forward comes from within. What is your dream? What do you want to see manifested in your life? Not what's going to come in for you but what do you actually, how can you use what's coming in for you now to be able to shine your light brighter, to be able to bloom where you're planted, to be able to attract people to you? There's a sense here of, you know, when we think about committing to a foundation and we think about connecting intimately with others and we think about blooming where we're planted, this could be like waking up tomorrow and, you know, the home that you've been kind of like, you know, this could be like where you're constantly thinking about, oh, I would love to go on a vacation I want to go on that big European vacation. And every day you wake up and you go to your job and you're just disgruntled because you're like, I don't have the freedom to go on that vacation. I don't have the money in the bank. All I do is work. And all I do is then go home to my house and I turn on Netflix and I scroll through social media and look at people who are living my dream life, which is people who get to travel all over the place. And this is saying, well, how about instead, if you have this realization and you realize that you've changed, how can you see that maybe, yes, at one point freedom for you was going on that adventure, was going to that big European vacation. But now there's something in your life that has changed, something that's coming in as a return on the investment. And how can you sit there and say, you know what? I'm going to wake up tomorrow with fresh eyes on my entire foundation that I have for myself, the Four of Wands. So waking up with fresh eyes to your own home. How can you start to bring a little sense of adventure into your home? We're thinking about attracting to us through shining our light forward. What is that inner child for you? What is that creativity? What do you want to shine into the world to then have it be reflected back to you? And this would be like almost like looking at your home and saying, you know what? I'm going to bring a little European flair into my house, and I'm going to go to, whatever, and just get a few little trinkets, and I'm going to cook myself some spaghetti and, make the best bolognese sauce, and I'm going to treat myself. In fact, you know what? I'm going to actually call up a few friends I haven't connected with in a while, and we are going to have a pretend passport to Italy night where everybody gets to come and bring something pertaining to Italy, and we're going to pretend to just have a ball traveling, quote unquote, to Italy. And I'm going to enjoy the fact that I have a home in my life, that I've built that foundation, that I can invite people over. And I'm going to start to incorporate a little bit of that sense of adventure into what I have and start to connect as who I am now with others. And I'm going to start shining that light. And that is going to allow you to actually start bringing towards you. It's almost like shaking off the dust a little bit, or shaking off the rust. It's allowing you to be the adventurer in your own life, but not in a way that is disruptive, not in a way where you just kind of like leave everything behind, but in a way where you're committing almost more fully to where you are now and seeing the beauty of it because you see it through the beauty of yourself. Bottom of the deck, we have the Three of Cups. I love it. That is celebration. That is community. That is finding a soul tribe. So yes, there's a sense here really of embracing the celebration of how far you've come and what you have in this moment. There's a level of gratitude, but a level of also recommitting, a level of being able to see how maybe the tables have turned a little bit from where you were in the past, and really being able to embrace that, celebrate it, and connect it intimately with others. And for some of you, really committing now to building on this foundation, but building from a place of true connection to yourself. There's a sense here of kind of leaving with the Six of Swords, because this is what you're really being asked to embrace. Moving on, transcending from something that has long felt like you've been held in choppy waters, especially in a mental place. And how can you release that? How can you bring in a sense of peace in the mental sphere? Through connecting, through committing, through celebrating and building. This is a really beautiful reading. And from some of you, you could be getting married, if that's the case. The Four of Wands and Three of Cups, congratulations. Okay. Let's see here. So we have all tied up in the garden and the gate. Now, all tied up is number 23, breaking down to number 5, which is the energy of change, which I think for some of you, the change is coming in that you're going to release yourself from being tied up. The all tied up can be very much the Devil card here. It's what is holding you back. And then we have the garden and the gate with number 30, breaking down to number 3, which is the number of creativity. It's the number of, for me, divinity. It's also the number of greeting life with the innocence of a child. And it's kind of interesting because I feel like both of these individuals look like they're very similar posed. They're both kind of like looking like, I really want to get out of here. The whole thing with the garden and the gate is that she is, in a beautiful garden. It's a safe, secure setting, but she knows there's more out there for herself. And I think for many of you, you felt tied up from being able to kind of open the doors into what's waiting out there for you. And that could be where if you're committing, let's say, to a marriage, the relationship itself is allowing you, like with you having the courage to commit, it's taking you out of a place where probably your magic has long been held back. There could be a sense here of the home life actually allowing you to embrace more fully something within you, a creative aspect of yourself that is, been waiting to come out. But there's also a sense for those of you where this is not relationship bound, it's almost, or not specific to getting married or committing to a new relationship. There is something here where I think for many of you, you felt like you were held back from going out into the world, that you were kind of playing it safe, maybe playing it small even, and there's something else calling to you, and there's a chance here this month to really free yourself from that. And with her, there's almost a sense of, freeing that magical part of yourself. She's kind of this glowing individual in this nighttime garden. I'm going to pull a couple clarifiers before I pull your final cards here. Just get a little deeper into this. What does Taurus need to know about all tied up and the garden and the gate? The Fool. Yeah. It's time to go take the leap. Take the leap, Taurus. That is the jump. That is unlocking the gate and going out into the world with fresh eyes into truly a new adventure for you. And it's saying it's safe to take this leap. And sometimes we do. We have to take kind of, we can't, it's just kind of like, just with full faith, taking that step off the ledge and knowing that Spirit has your back to catch you, because ultimately, even though the way is unclear, even though we can never see everything that's going to come up down the line, we know that in doing this, we are reigniting our own passion. We are rediscovering our own light. We are committing to ourself and the life experience that we want to have. Okay, so now I'm going to pull a Power of Surrender card, and then we'll pull your last final card after this. So let's see, what does Taurus need to know about surrendering this month? Okay, we have, I love it. Surrender to miracles. It says, be open to miracles occurring in your life. Feel and know that these events are real. Let go of any resistance and banish any doubt that miracles can happen. This is beautiful. Yeah, there's a sense here of really claiming your independence, claiming your freedom, staking your claim to the attractiveness you want to embody. It can also be the individual you want to attract to you. Very, very beautiful message here. Okay, I'm going to pull a final card, and I will read the excerpt that comes with this card in the book that comes with this oracle deck. So let's go ahead here and see, what does Taurus need to know? Okay, so we have, interesting, an invitation to connect, number 19, which breaks down to the number 10 and further down to the number 1 in numerology. So there's a sense of endings and beginnings. This card always speaks, I don't know for those of you, if anybody's actually ever seen this movie, I know I did. It was released a few years ago. It was actually based on, I think it was called Tomorrowland, but it was based on kind of a fictional story made up around the Tomorrowland at Disneyland. And I loved the last scene in that movie where it kind of showed children and people kind of waking up into this Tomorrowland setting, where they were almost able to kind of see the potential for themselves. And that's kind of a scene that actually replays my mind quite often, that I would love to see for everyone. We could all, it's kind of like my idea of heaven. And there's a sense with this card that, because it kind of looks like that at the end of that movie, and there's a sense here of that coming through. It's almost like really getting in touch with what you want to illuminate for yourself, how through doing that can you illuminate the way for others, but specifically, how can you illuminate that way for you? And then also really getting into clearly, what do you want to manifest? If you could manifest for yourself a part of your vision for heaven, like building on this foundation that you have, what would that look like? What would be for your highest potential around what you want to create? How could you use the fountain and this portal, this wormhole, to jump to something that would feel like this for you? So let's see here. It says, love exists throughout our universe. Many loving beings that do not belong to the human race exist in worlds beyond the earthly realm. Among these are those who are aware of the spiritual plight of humanity and are willing and able to help us move forward. Unlike those who close their minds because they fear the unknown, you have an open mind and an open, receptive heart. Beings from other worlds recognize you as a receptive channel for their unconditionally loving assistance in this world. You will both benefit from this individually and help the planet, so you are being offered an invitation to connect. Says there are many dimensions to existence. For those who are developing evolved sensory perception, the senses will not be restricted to being impressed upon by the physical dimension. There are higher dimensions that the psychic or emotional nature can recognize, and even more refined dimensions that the higher mind can recognize. Beyond that, there are dimensions that the mind, even in its most expansive state, cannot grasp, but the spirit knows to be real. The more your sensitivity to subtle energy evolves, the more aware you become of these worlds beyond this world. For some, this will be easy to accept and will inspire interest in learning more. Others may be tentative about exploring connections with non-earthly beings. Now, I'm going to say this for those of you who do not believe in, let's say, other dimensions or other earthly beings. There is a sense here of getting to that place where you almost, when we talk about like a sixth sense, there is that feeling of getting to that point where you almost can sense your way through the unknown towards what you know is calling to you. And that will in turn bring out your own inner light, that you have to shine the light forward. You have to be able to see what you want to create. But it's almost like you have to tap in to a level of emotional and spiritual sensitivity that perhaps, it depends. We're all at a different point in this energy, because time really is not linear. So for some of you could just be starting out on this, and you're just kind of starting to develop that sense of seeing what could be more for you out there. You could already be on this path and realizing, wow, I can continue to expand. That you might there's a feeling here of manifestation. So some of you might be working with the energy of manifestation, and you're now kind of leveling up. And there's a chance, in order to do that, however, to level up, you have to take a risk. You have to take a chance and kind of go with the flow that's coming in for you. But what I would say is, this is more an invitation to connect with your higher self, with the part of yourself where you might have a vision of a future version of yourself, and you don't know how you're going to get there, and you don't know how it's going to happen, but you're going to start to bring that future that you saw for yourself into your present day moment, and start every day building a little bit towards that, or every day incorporating a little bit more of what allows you to feel free in your day-to-day experience and allows you to connect more authentically as you, and that also future version of yourself. For those of you who do believe in different dimensions and maybe angelic beings, maybe other races out there in the universe, this could very much be a sense of connecting, and they might be able to show you kind of what's coming in for you here, and how in committing to your own magic and shining your light and committing to a foundation now, including an individual or a community, that you might be seeing how there is a higher purpose to that, especially with the Hermit coming in, their clarity here. There might be a higher purpose to you and your calling. This can be a very important month, Taurus, for you. There's a sense of connecting to your potential. There's a sense of connecting to your own inner power. There's a sense of being able to move past anything that has limited you before. And there's also a sense of connecting you with others who are going to be highly supportive of you from this point forward. So love it. It's going to be a positive month, Taurus. I I would say one last thing to leave you with here is surrender to miracles. Let go of any resistance and banish any doubt that miracles can happen. All right, Taurus, I'll leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderfully miraculous and freedom-seeking month of July. If you'd like to book a personal reading, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website. Otherwise, I will see you all next month for the next Illumination reading. Bye, Taurus.